A first-class flight, surrounded by luxury and exclusivity, takes an unexpected turn when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson crosses paths with an arrogant billionaire. What starts as disdain from a powerful man quickly turns into desperation when fate intervenes. What happens next changes his life forever. Want to know how this story ends? Watch until the very end. And don't forget to like the video, leave your opinion in the comments, and subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories like this one. The plane took off smoothly from JFK International Airport in New York, bound for Los Angeles. First class was filled with businessmen, celebrities, and influential figures. It was a space where luxury reigned supreme. Spacious seats that reclined into beds, champagne served in crystal glasses, meals prepared by renowned chefs. A world of exclusive comfort, reserved only for those who could afford it. Among the passengers seated comfortably in one of the reclining chairs was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Wearing casual attire, a hoodie and sports pants, he was using the flight to relax. Despite being one of Hollywood's biggest stars, he never felt the need to flaunt his status. He remained humble, approachable, always polite to those who approached him. A few seats away, an elderly man observed him with a look of barely disguised disdain. His name was William Ashford III, a billionaire in the financial sector, heir to one of the oldest fortunes in the United States. His entire life had been surrounded by luxury, and he took pride in his status, considering himself above most people. Slowly, the displeasure on his face turned into a cynical smile. He crossed his legs, adjusted the cuffs of his expensive silk shirt, and decided to break the silence with a mocking remark. His voice was loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. He didn't bother to be discreet. His intention was clear: to provoke. The Rock, who was about to put on his headphones, paused for a moment. He lifted his gaze and met the old billionaire's eyes. There was something in that expression he had seen many times before. The arrogance of those who believed they were superior simply because of their position in society. But The Rock did not react with anger. He was neither sarcastic nor aggressive. He simply smiled, a calm, serene smile. Then he responded with composure, without raising his voice, but with enough firmness to make the meaning of his words clear. A brief silence followed. William was momentarily surprised but quickly regained his snobbish posture. He chuckled mockingly and shook his head, as if dismissing what had just been said. Without hesitation, he pressed the flight attendant call button and with impatience complained. He demanded a seat change, claiming he felt uncomfortable sitting near a gym brute. The Rock merely shook his head slightly, ignoring the billionaire's childish behavior. He had encountered many people like William throughout his life. He knew it wasn't worth getting upset. 2 hours passed. The flight was smooth until suddenly severe turbulence hit the aircraft. The lights flickered, the seats trembled, and some passengers clutched their seatbelts tightly. The pilot quickly announced that it was just an area of instability and that everything was under control. Then a different sound arose. It wasn't the turbulence nor the murmurs of nervous passengers. It was a faint, pained groan. William Ashford III clutched his chest. His face, once rosy and full of life, was rapidly turning pale. His hands trembled, and his breathing was irregular. He tried to say something, but the words came out broken. His eyes widened, and for the first time they did not reflect arrogance. They reflected fear. Passengers around him realized what was happening. Someone shouted for help. A flight attendant rushed over, and a doctor on board quickly stood up to assess the situation. The doctor swiftly diagnosed a heart attack and stated that the billionaire needed to be laid on the floor for resuscitation efforts to begin. However, space was limited. The first-class seats were wide and luxurious, but they did not allow for a man to be laid down safely for emergency procedures. The flight attendant hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. Then, The Rock stood up. Without hesitation, he maneuvered around the seats and, with impressive ease, lifted William into his arms. The billionaire's body seemed weightless in the former wrestler's grip. As he carefully laid him down in the aisle, the doctor began the procedures while The Rock remained beside them, alert, ready to assist in any way necessary. There was no anger in his eyes, no resentment over William's earlier words. He simply did what was right. Time seemed to stretch. Passengers watched in silence, some clasping their hands in prayer, others holding their breath. The flight attendant brought a portable defibrillator, and the doctor carried out resuscitation efforts. Then finally, William opened his eyes. His breathing was still weak, but he was alive. His gaze met the rocks. The same man he had insulted, belittled, and treated with disdain was now the man who had held him, ensuring he had a chance to survive. Tears welled up in his eyes. His mouth opened as if to say something, but his voice failed. Finally, he managed to whisper a barely audible apology. The rock simply smiled gently, a smile without resentment, without pride. Just understanding. He placed a firm hand on the old billionaire's shoulder and said something only William could hear. When the plane made an emergency landing to take William to the hospital, he was still in shock. His heart was still racing, but not just from the heart attack. Something inside him had changed. Months later, newspaper headlines stunned the world. William Ashford III, the eccentric and arrogant billionaire, publicly announced that he was donating 90% of his fortune to charity. In an emotional interview, when asked about his decision, he responded with a trembling voice, "I spent my entire life thinking that strength meant money, power, and status. But true strength, true greatness, was shown to me by a man I judged without knowing. I can never repay what he did for me, but I can ensure that my wealth serves something greater than my own ego." The story went viral. The world watched in astonishment as a man who had once faced death found in another's act of compassion a second chance. And The Rock? He never commented on the episode publicly. He never needed to, because true greatness doesn't seek recognition. It simply exists in those who know how to use it.